Many of us parents in diaspora have this fear that our children could be taken from us by the government. And it's really distressing, but many of us don't really know what to do about it. So in this video, I'm going to be talking about 2 things you have to teach your child to avoid this happening. Now, there are also other things, but I want to talk about 2 things. Hello and welcome to AfriTrends. If you've been on my channel before, welcome back. And if you are new, please subscribe because I try to bring out regular videos on topics that are important to parents in diaspora, people in diaspora, but also, of course, to anyone else. So today I'm going to be talking about 2 things we have to teach our children. Now, it's okay living with this fear that your children might be taken away, but what do you actually do to prevent it? In the olden days, the days of slavery in America, people used to train their children. They were really harsh on their children because they wanted to avoid their child getting into problem with their masters. And so they were being harsh on them to make sure they learn how to fit into this situation. And if you go to Africa, you'd see in some of these villages on the riverside, women would put their little child in the canoe and be paddling, but the child doesn't jump into the water. Why? Because the parents have trained these children to adapt to the dangerous situation they are living in. So too, we have to teach our children to adapt to the situation in diaspora. In his book, Chinua Achebe wrote, he said something, when the bird was asked, why does he keep flying without perching? He said that since man has learned to shoot without missing, he has learned to fly without perching. So we too have to teach our children how they can survive in this environment and also how we can keep them safe from being taken away. So the 2 things I want to talk about are really very easy. They are things we learned in Africa from our parents, but we don't apply them when we come to Europe. And the first thing is, teach your child from a very young age, eye contact. If you remember, for those of us that grew up in Africa, if you were with your mother and someone offered you maybe a sweet or so, you look at your mother first. The look on your mother's face, you won't even take that sweet. Your mother will not move one muscle on her face, but the eyes will tell you, stop, don't do it. But what do? We come here, we adapt this European way of life, and we don't teach our children these things. So you'd see a mother with a child go somewhere, maybe the child is trying to take something or is going on talking something the child shouldn't say, and you'll be like, the child will go on, some will even nudge the child or pinch the child. Then the other people around will know what is going on. Why? Because you never taught this child eye contact and eye language. So please, this is very important at a very young age with children. Start teaching your children eye contact and eye language. Your child should be able to look at you and already know, no, my mom won't like this. No, or okay, here I stop. And the funny thing is that by the time your child learns to listen to learns to pay attention to eye language and, to react on it, you have already established your position as a person of authority in that child's life. Because before a child will do this, this means the child knows, okay, this is my mother and I have to do what she says. So please, this is so important. Teach your children eye contact and eye language and how that they should react on it. Then the second thing is you have to teach your children how and when to talk. What am I talking about here? Like here in Germany where I live, most children in kindergarten or in school, every Monday they will do a Sitzkreis. They call it a sitting circle. Everybody sits in a circle and the teacher starts asking, Oh, how did you spend your weekend? What did you do in the holidays? What did you watch on TV? Those questions are not to see how your child talks. They only want to know what is happening in your home. And when your child doesn't know how to talk or when to talk or what not to say, it can bring a lot of problem. Here in Europe, in diaspora, a lot of things you think are not a problem, when a child says it, it's a big problem. I'll give an example. My son, who is autistic, he spent 1 year on the special needs school. So in this circle, he kept saying, we're going to Munich on holiday. I'm going to Munich on holiday with my brothers and sisters. I got a note from the teacher. Reply urgently. Why is your child always talking about going to Munich? And I replied, well, the holidays are approaching and we are planning to go and visit his aunt. Is there a problem? Shortly after that, I got another note. Your son is always talking about prayer at night, prayer at night. What does that mean? Urgent reply needed. I mean, imagine this is something in Africa. A teacher will look at it as a positive thing. Wow, the family is praying together. It was a problem here in Germany. I had to reply her, yes, my husband always calls the children for prayer at night. The prayer lasts like 15 minutes. If he's awake, he joins the prayer, but we don't force him. He's growing into it. So when he wants to pray, he prays along. So teach your children when they go out in public to be careful about what they discuss about the family. I'll give another example. Once I got to the school, there was this little child, African child. She was just sitting out there crying and the teachers surrounded her. So when I got there, I knew the little girl. She was crying that her sister died in Africa that morning. And all the teachers were like, oh, why would your mother send you to school? Why would your mother send you to school? And she was crying the more. So I asked the little girl, do you know your sister? No. Is she your mother's child? No. So I had to explain to the teachers, look, in Africa, everybody's sister and brother. This is probably a relation of the mother. The mother probably sent the children to school so that she could compose herself before the children come back. The child doesn't even know this person that died. So you have to really work on your children and teach them what to say in school. Even ordinary things like talking about television. Now, in Europe, it's assumed the child should watch about 15 to 30 minutes TV a day at a young age. Then your child goes there saying, oh, I watch TV from morning to evening, even calling programs that, are not meant for children. So from all these things, the teachers start making a picture of the child. And of course, people keep asking. Parents keep asking. Different people keep asking. So please, work on your children. And there are easy ways you can do that. I mean, you shouldn't tell your child, don't go to school and say you watch TV. But when the child is watching TV, you can say something like, well, watching TV for long is not allowed and your teacher knows that too. So if you watch TV too long, I'll have to tell your teacher. Then obviously the child will say, oh, please don't also. But gradually the child will start getting a feel of what to say and what not to say. Now, I know that normally these aren't things that one would ideally teach a child or have to teach a child. But as I said earlier, when you live in an environment where there's racism and where it's so difficult to fight against racism, the best thing is to teach your child to sit in that canoe and not jump into the water. So that you don't have to start jumping into the water to bring out the child, which may not always be successful. So please, parents, heed this advice. It goes a very long way. And share this advice also with other parents you know. It's good you start at a young age teaching your child. So I'd like to stop this video here. I hope you were able to pick something out of it. If you like the video, please subscribe and share, because you know it's also not easy to keep making such videos and putting them in the net. Have a nice day. Cheers.